7 o'clock in Hanover Park, room 214, July 21st meeting, the Village Hanover Park. And Christie, if you would, please, call the roll.
Trustee Husani? Here. Trustee Gutierrez?
Here.
Trustee Porter?
Here.
Trustee Kemper?
Here.
Trustee Bancole?
Here.
And Trustee Prigi?
Here.
Very good. As the meeting is called to order, please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. What is this? Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We have a motion to accept the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any changes to the agenda?
Could I pull 8A9 from the consent agenda?
8A9 you wish to pull?
Yes, please.
Okey-doke. Anything else? Okay, very good. Alrighty. Public hearing. A proposal to establish Special Service Area 9, Lake and Gary subdivision. We have a motion to open public hearing to consider the establishment of Special Service Area 9.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Do I need a roll call on that? Christie, if you would call the roll.
Trustee Husani?
Yes.
Trustee Gutierrez?
Yes.
Trustee Porter?
Yes.
Trustee Kemper?
Yes.
Trustee Bancole?
Yes.
And Trustee Prigi?
Yes.
Okay, explanation of the purpose of the public hearing and special service area. Bernie?
So as you may recall, some time ago, perhaps more than a year ago, the village approved a plat of subdivision and a development at the corner of Lake and Gary. This included a 3-lot subdivision, and the subdivision was for the purpose of putting a fueling station there, and also some commercial businesses, perhaps a restaurant, and as you may observe, there currently is a building that sits on the property, a rather large building, sort of a warehouse-type building. When that development was approved, when the plat was approved, and when the covenants were approved, there was a discussion and a provision that was included in the covenants concerning the creation of a special service area. On that property, there are public and private improvements. Among the private improvements are stormwater facilities that retain water and basically serve the subdivision. And then there are other improvements, pathways, walkways, and things of that nature. And so one of the agreements was that the owners of the property, and that included a property owners association and or the 3-lot owners, would maintain the items that were on that subdivision to be maintained, and that if they were not maintained, then the village would have the ability to go in, make whatever repairs or maintenance might be necessary, or even redo the improvements if necessary. And in order to pay for it, there was this provision for a special service area. The idea of the special service area is basically to create a taxing area over the entire subdivision, which would include all 3 lots, and have a method, basically a dormant method, whereby the village, if necessary, would be able to recoup its expenses in taking care of any of the private or public improvements that the owners were obligated to take care of. And so this is the way that we would create that. If you recall back on May 19th of this year, the village board adopted an ordinance proposing the establishment of the special service area. And from that time forward, certain steps were taken in order to comply with the process for creating a special service area. That included publishing a notice in the newspaper, which the village clerk did, and that notice was required to be published not later than 15 days prior to this hearing, and it was, and the clerk has those copies from the Daily Herald and the publisher's certificate. Also, the clerk sent by mail to all the persons who paid the real estate taxes for the preceding year on the property notices, substantially the same notice that was in the newspaper, slightly customized for the mailing. In addition to the 3 lot property payers of taxes, I think there were probably another 5 or 6 notices that were sent out. Some of them were notices that the covenants, I believe the covenants and or some other documents had for persons to receive notices, and those notices were mailed to those persons. And so all in all, I imagine there were about 7 or 8 or 9 notices that were mailed out. And both the published notice and the mailed notices informed the recipients and the readers that we would have a public hearing tonight concerning the creation of the special service area. The covenants provided and the ordinance provides for a tax not to exceed 5% of the equalized value of the property, and so that is the cap that the village could ever apply a tax to. And I think that's pretty much the explanation that I would have concerning the special service area.
Very good. Explanation concerning the notices?
Right, and so as I indicated, and maybe the clerk can even indicate what she did did publish the notices. Go ahead.
Oh, yeah, we published the notices in the Daily Herald and had them published by Tuesday, the 5th, I believe it was, of July, and we mailed them out via U.S. Postal Service to the 8, I believe it was, people that I had on the list.
Right, were any of them returned to you?
None of them were returned.
Okay.
So that tells me we have no written objections?
I don't know. Do
No.
we?
We have not received any in the clerk's office.
Okay.
Nothing bad. Tells me no news is good news, right? Okay, persons desiring to be heard with opportunity to present testimony, examine witnesses.
Is there anyone here that wants to speak to the potential establishment of special service area number 9 covering the Lake and Geary subdivision in the village of Hanover Park?
Seeing no one,
Okay,
do we have to ask 3 times?
as many times as you want to.
I suppose. It's seeing no one, hearing no one.
So there are no protests, there are no objections that anyone knows of concerning it?
Nope.
Yes. So with that, motion to close and finally adjourn the public hearing on the establishment of special service area 9.
So moved.
Second.
The motion is second. Christie, if you would call the roll.
Trustee Husani?
Yes.
Trustee Gutierrez?
Yes.
Trustee Porter?
Yes.
Trustee Kemper,
Yes.
Trustee Bancole,
Yes.
and Trustee Friedke.
Yes.
Thank you.
Very good. I have two proclamations. Sister City one, I think I'll come down, invite our Sister City folks to join me. You will join me? You will join me? Yep. Get you all up here. I'll read the proclamation. Very good. Good evening.
Good evening, how
Good evening. I'm good.
Good.
Good evening. Nice to see you again. Good evening. We're gonna do this. Do we get it right? Herb? Oh, I love what you guys do. Whereas the Sister City Friendship Agreement between the Village of Hanover Park, Illinois, USA, and Cape Coast, Ghana, Africa was signed on July 19, 1992. Can you believe it's that long?
No.
No, you guys were there. Whereas the Sister City relationship has fostered a nonprofit citizen diplomacy network that creates and strengthens partnership between the United States and international communities. And whereas the Sister City objectives of building global cooperation at the municipal level and promoting cultural understanding has been accomplished. And whereas the citizens of Hanover Park and Cape Coast have benefited from the relationship through cultural exchange, mutual assistance, support, and understanding between our communities, and whereas the Village of Hanover Park and Cape Coast are being recognized for the 30-year Sister City relationship. Now therefore be it proclaimed that I, Rodney S. Gregg, Village President of the Village of Hanover Park, Illinois, USA, does hereby proclaim and congratulate the citizens of Hanover Park and Cape Coast in honor of the 30-year Sister City relationship and extends best wishes for continued success. And with that, I will present that
Thank you so much.
to, you know, and I will just say that I recall packing crates of books to ship to Ghana, and that's a great history and a great remembrance for our community. Would you like to say a word or two?
Sure. Yes, I'm Pamela Fowler, the chair of the committee, and we are very excited about our 30 years of relationship with Cape Coast, Ghana. It's been an experience, and I started in 2008, and so it's been about, 14 years? And so what we've done in those last 14 years has just been phenomenal. The different events we've done. I've never traveled over to Cape Coast, but we're looking at going next year. Invites to anyone. And we are very appreciative for the support that we receive from you, Mayor Craig, and the community at large. So we thank you so much for this proclamation.
Very good, very good. I know one of the things that's on our agenda is to recreate the 501c3 that we had previously,
Yeah.
so that we can generate some dollars for those trips and get the business community involved in supporting that. It's a business to business, it's a community to community, and so we have our work and our agenda ahead of us to do all that. Herb, any comments? You've been an instrumental leader in this whole thing.
I'm sorry.
I'd like to defer to the chief, who was here at the very beginning.
Would you like to say a word or two?
Original.
All that I can say that it's been a wonderful experience that we've had for the past 30 years. As you've said, we've shipped hospital equipment, books, computers, and everything, and I'm very proud of the work public department for being our storage
Yes.
during the time that we were shipping crates. And off record, we shipped 7 crates 40-foot containers of goods that Hanover Park residents supported Cape Coast. The universities, the schools, the children's hospital, and everything. And I'm very, very proud of the relationship that the Hanover Park has extended to an outside community like Cape Coast, Ghana. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you, and thank you for your work.
Thank you, Mayor, for honoring the Sister Cities Committee with this proclamation for this letter of recognition for the 30 years. I started with city government. I was a member of Sister Cities before I was a trustee, and it was my initial introduction into being involved in a local community organization. And it was from my involvement in Sister Cities that I became interested in becoming a member of this board, of which I've served now for 6.5 years. So I owe a lot of my involvement and a lot of what I'm doing today to the seeds that were planted by just being involved and being a part of such a great organization. I did have the honor and the pleasure of visiting Cape Coast, Ghana in 2019 during the year of return. And it was an experience of a lifetime, so much so that it has encouraged me to return to Africa this year, where I'll be visiting South Africa to continue to learn about the magnificent history of Africa and the continent. So thank you to my fellow members. These are some of the hardest working people that I know. We do a lot with a little. We don't have a big committee, but we're not afraid to tackle big projects. Thank you to all the people in the administration, the fire department, police department, public works, and all of the village administrators who assist us, because truly we don't have the manpower to pull off these events. And without your help and without your participation and support, none of the things that we do would be possible, most recently the Juneteenth event. So thank you very much. I'm deeply honored to be a part of this group and deeply honored to receive this proclamation on behalf of the village. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you all. We get a photo together? One more.
1, 2, 3. Closer. 1, 2, 3. Thank you.
Okay. Shake the hands of the board.
Hello, sir. Thank you. Sir, thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you, Trustee Porter. Come. Thank you so much.
Yeah, all right.
Thank you.
Yes, it's good to see you.
Expecting to see you in 2 weeks' time.
2 weeks time. Oh, yes. Yes. We will talk. Yes. Thank you.
I'll read that one to me.
Good to see you.
Yeah. Okay, I have another proclamation. Whereas the Village of Hanover Park is committed to supporting a thriving, vibrant, and healthier community for residents of all ages and abilities, and recognize the importance of providing access to safe and convenient places to be physically active for people regardless of age, race, income, socioeconomic status, disability status, and geographic location. And whereas approximately 1 in 5 children and 2 in 5 adults in the U.S. have obesity, and 1 in 2 adults live with a chronic disease, about half of this group have 2 or more chronic diseases. And whereas physical activity is vital for health, aging, and can reduce the burden of chronic diseases and prevent early death, physical activity can benefit the workforce because the physically active people tend to take fewer sick days. Physical activity guidelines for Americans recommend that children ages 6 to 17 years, do 60 minutes or more moderate to vigorous intensity physical activity each day. And adults 18 years and older do at least 150 minutes a week of moderate intense activities such as brisk walking. Whereas the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, CDC, is leading Active People, Healthy Nation, SM, a national initiative to help 27 million Americans become more physically active by 2027. And whereas the government of the Village of Hanover Park, Illinois, recognizes its ability to expand, achieve measurable and sustainable efforts to increase physical activity across the community by supporting Active People, Healthy Nation, and strategies. And whereas it is important to ensure that all longtime residents have the opportunity to benefit from increased community investment and that community improvement projects do not result in community displacement. And whereas reducing the barriers in access safe and equitable public spaces for people of color to be physically active is important to addressing existing health disparities. And whereas every active person, Healthy Nation strategy can be designed to support the goal of equitable and inclusive access to opportunities for physical activities. Now therefore be it proclaimed that I, Mayor Rodney S. Craig, declare that physical activity is one of the best things that adults, children, and families in the Village of Hanover Park can do to improve their health. And in light of the foregoing considerations, the Village of Hanover Park hereby commits to support Active People, Healthy Nation strategies by implementing community-wide campaigns. This strategy will promote physical activity by combining a variety of strategies such as social media coverage, risk factor screening, and education, community events, and policy and programmatic initiatives. Dated this 21st date of July 2022. So, the mayor's initiative for keeping us alive and well. What do you think?
Great.
Thank you. All righty. So read those. Next page. Town hall session. Anyone for town hall?
We do not. Anybody?
Nothing? Okay. Village President's report. Just a few items. If I haven't shared this with anyone, I have been reappointed to the Metro Board for another 4 years. The interview process with Cook County and about, I think there were 8 commissioners, was very complimentary. They acknowledged my work with Metra and my ability to support the District 1 communities, which is way outside of Hanover Park, but it was nice to go through that and hear the feedback. Tomorrow I'm off to Decatur, Illinois, the home of the current president of the Illinois Municipal League, for a board meeting, which will begin when I get there and through Saturday. And a lot of number of things on the agenda that are of interest to this community. Late yesterday, I received a message, maybe it was this morning, anyway, that Raja Krishnamurthy has told us we were being submitted for a $600,000 grant for the SDP plant. So I know the Public Works Department is going to be pleased to hear that. And Remy always saying, "Where's my money?" So, you know, so I got that. It was approved by the House, and so we can look forward to getting some work done at the SDP, saving the taxpayers a big chunk of money for some upgrades that are required. I've been tracking and sharing information with this board and staff concerning assault weapons. That's near and dear to us. What happened in recently, a few weeks ago, is a pretty sad case in the state has to step up, and I see that happening. Hopefully, they will, and this board will be looking at that. We have the confirmation from the owner of the gun range in Hanover Park. He'll come before us the second meeting in August. So I'm looking forward to that as a part of our process moving ahead. I was advised today that we're pulling together a press release with Congressman Krishnamurthy on the CPKC upcoming environmental concerns that we have, et cetera, for the freight trains that are planned to come through our community. So that conference will be Monday at 10 a.m. at our train station. And I've advised PD and others to be prepared, including Metro, who will be coming out. And then in August, we'll have another press conference with the Senator, Senator Durbin, and our congressman will be there, and others at the Metro, what do you call it, building in Chicago. I'm told it's there, but it may be someplace else in downtown Chicago. But the senators want to be a part of this, so it's nice support that we see coming our way. Music in the Park, really coming along nice. I really enjoyed the Music in the Park. I thought the taco truck was a nice addition. We've had the slushy person there. I'm not into slushies because they always give me brain freeze. So, but they're there and everybody enjoys that. So the music was nice the other day. We do, I'm sorry to hear that the Cops Day picnic had to be canceled. Chief, you tried to the last minute, you know, and then when the thunderstorms and the lightning was coming, that, you know, the rules on that today, you have to clear everybody out for quite a while. So that would not have worked. And we have an IOU on the movie in the park, right? We're going to continue that. Chief, do you have any update on that?
I do. We're looking at August 1st, potentially. I should be able to confirm that tomorrow. What we would do is we would do the replay of the movie in the park and then a modified Cops Day where we do a cookout and also some, like a canine demo and some of the things we can do internally.
Good.
I'm looking to confirm that date tomorrow.
He'll be in that location where the Cops Day picnic was? Okay, very good. And the ball field, I gotta say, the ball fields are coming along nicely. When they started, they said, what are you doing? You're tearing out all the ball fields. And now they're saying, we really appreciate the work. We're really excited about it coming. And I'm receiving resident comments almost on a daily basis. So good work. It's been a long time coming. We're gonna revitalize baseball in Hanover Park. And I'm working a commitment from the Cubs and the White Sox to have a ball player come out. I seem to have somebody that can help us do that. So when the ball teams are ready, we'll plan that in the future. So hold me accountable to that. And with that, I'd like to move by on this vote items on the consent agenda.
So moved. Second.
We have a motion and a second.
And those items are 8A1 through 8A8 and 8A10 through 8A14.
And I'm sorry, I am gonna make a change. I would like to remove, well, it can either be removed or it can be taken off the consent agenda, the 8A3 and 8A4, just due to a couple of mistakes in the minutes.
Okay,
So I don't know which way is easiest to do it.
All right, so then it would be 8A1 and 8A2, 8A5 through 8A8,
Okay, just pull it.
and
Okay.
8A10 through 8A14.
very good.
So do I have to pull it before we,
You did it.
Well, you removed it from the consent agenda.
Okay. Like, pull it all together.
Oh, you don't want it on the agenda at all?
I guess whatever is easiest.
It's up to, I mean, it's up to you. If you don't want it on the agenda, then I presume
Okay.
that
Okay.
the motion that was made would have to be withdrawn, the second would have to be withdrawn concerning passing it, and then you would have to make a motion to remove it from the agenda.
Okay.
Do you want to approve it at a future meeting?
Yes, the following meeting, the next meeting we have.
Okay.
All right, so whoever made the motion to pass the consent agenda would have to withdraw that motion.
I withdraw my motion.
I withdraw my second.
Okay, so now you would have to make a motion, trustee Bancole, to remove from the agenda whatever items you want to remove.
Okay, so I motion to remove 8A3 and 8A4 from the agenda.
Is there a second?
Second.
Christie, if you would call a roll.
Alrighty, trustee Gutierrez? Yes. Trustee Porter?
Yes.
Trustee Kemper?
Yes.
Trustee Bancole?
Yes.
Trustee Frigie?
Yes.
And trustee Lusani?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. That takes me to 8A9.
No, you're still back to the consent agenda. So now you need a motion to pass the consent agenda, which is 8A1, 8A2, 8A5 through 8A8, 8A10 through 8A14.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second. Do we have a second?
Yeah, you said second.
Oh, I didn't.
Didn't you say second?
I motion Bridget second.
All right.
Oh,
She does it so fast.
Okay.
Christie,
Yes.
if you would call the roll.
Faster than the speed of light.
Trustee Gutierrez? Yes. Trustee Porter?
Yes.
Trustee Kemper?
Yes.
Trustee Bancole?
yes.
Trustee Frigie?
Yes.
And trustee Lusani?
Yes.
Very good.
8A9.
8A9, move to pass a resolution authorizing a reduction of Habitat for Humanity's Greenbrook Court J letter of credit to the amount of $286,787.33. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
A motion and a second. Discussion. Do you have a question?
Yes. So just before we pass this resolution authorizing the letter of credit, is there a way we could be, I understand that the reduction of credit is due to, I guess, increased development and I guess getting to the end of this project as a whole. So I guess I would like to get a summary as to what still needs to be done, or a timeline, or I guess maybe just a better sense of what actually needs to be done. Because in the packet there's a list of construction items and very specific construction things that need to be done, but I'm just trying to get a better sense of what is left.
Yes, so they are still working out there, obviously. They've got about half of the public and private infrastructure completed. They're kind of working along building by building, installing some things like sidewalk. But they do have most of the storm sewer, the water main, or most of the storm sewer, the sanitary sewer, the detention basins in. That sort of stuff has been already installed. They do have to still extend the water main for a few of the units. They have to do paving, but and sidewalk work. A lot of that stuff will come, like the paving and the sidewalk work is generally near the end of the project because they don't want to put down new pavement and then drive construction trucks over it as they're building units.
Okay. So, okay, and sorry, go ahead.
And I would say that They are working, Habitat is working on a updated schedule to provide to us shortly of when they think things are going to be completed. I think talking with them earlier this month, it sounded like they were hopeful that they were really going to make some progress, that they were getting some more teams, some crews over there to help with the building of them.
Okay,
of the
that makes
units,
sense.
And our guidelines are that they, letter of credit cannot be reduced more than 50%. So even if they may be finished more than 50% of the work, it can't be reduced more than 50% until the project's finished and closed out.
Okay, thank you for that. Just a follow-up question. So it's sounding kind of like minor repairs, so they're not going to be building any more units or repairing or refurbishing any of the new units there? Because like what you described where it
So
sounded like minor.
the letter of credit is for the infrastructure, like the roadway, water main, sewer, that sort of stuff. They are still building units out there, and that's not covered under this letter of credit.
Okay.
They're applying for building permits as they complete one, and they move on to the next one, and keep working. And that's what I was referring to when they were talking about having more crews to build those units.
Okay. And approximately how many more units are we expecting in that area? Do you know?
I'm not sure off the top of my head.
Okay.
There was total 15 to
Go ahead, Shubra.
there was a total of 27.
Sorry. There was a total of about 27 units that were approved, of which 4 to 6 have been built, so there's still quite a few to go.
Oh, okay. Okay, so a little over 20 units to go. Yeah, give or take. Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions?
Nope.
Hearing none. Christie, call the roll, please.
Trustee Porter?
Yes.
Trustee Kemper?
Yes.
Trustee Bianculli?
Yes.
Trustee Frigie?
Yes.
Trustee Gusani?
Yes.
And Trustee Gutierrez? Yes.
Thank you. 8A15, move to pass an ordinance authorizing a First Amendment to an agreement for sale, purchase, redevelopment of property and conveyance of real estate owned by the Village of Hanover Park, 1311 Irving Park Road. 3/4 vote of the corporate authorities is required.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second.
So on this particular item on the agenda, this concerns a real estate contract for the sale of an unimproved lot in TIF 4 for a future, hopefully, Arby's restaurant. And the buyer had requested an amendment to the purchase and sale agreement to extend the time for them to do their due diligence. And they are in the process of doing some zoning work and some site work evaluation. And so this is the First Amendment to an agreement for the sale, purchase, and redevelopment of property. That would be the document that is attached to your ordinance that you're considering currently. And there is one modification to the attachment. And I passed out that attachment at the beginning of the meeting. So on the second page of the attachment, there is a cross-out with the buyer's initials. And we're in agreement with, that is, the staff is in agreement with this change. And it requires a motion authorizing the change.
Very good.
So I'd like to make a motion.
I'll second.
Oh, yeah, she hasn't made it
I
yet.
haven't made,
She has to make it.
I have to
Go ahead.
finish it. I'd like to make a motion to amend the attachment to the ordinance by deleting from subparagraph B of numbered paragraph 3, the phrase at the end of the subparagraph B, which reads, and none of the extension payments shall be applied to the purchase price, period, and replacing the comma at the end of the word seller with period.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Yes, I have a question. During the reading of the explanation, it was referred to a 5% tax freeze, which would be a permanent tax freeze. Is that a standard practice?
Not a tax freeze. I said it was part of a TIF. It's part of our TIF.
I know it's part of a TIF, so I understand how the
Yeah.
TIFs work.
Yeah.
But I thought I heard you say that there would be an additional, a freeze of their taxes at the 5%.
No.
Okay.
If I said it, I didn't mean it.
Okay, that's what I wrote in my notes, and
Yeah.
it kind of, my ears perked up when I heard it.
Yeah.
Wasn't that the Gary and
I-
Lake thing?
I think
No,
that
no.
was the SSA discussion earlier.
So, yeah, this is a,
Did
a
I get them
sale
mixed up?
agreement.
Did I mix up the two properties?
I don't know.
I think the
There's
five,
no, there's not a tax freeze.
I think
The,
you
the
did.
SSA is further on down in the agenda, trustee
Okay,
Porter.
I jumped the gun on that one.
Yeah, this is the Arby's parcel.
The Arby's parcel. I'm sorry.
Right.
Okay,
This used to be Corfu once upon a time.
It's on Irving Park Road. Next to
Okay.
the bank.
yeah. Okay, my question, I'll defer my question until we get to the right item.
Okay, very good. Any other questions?
Yeah, can I ask what the delays are? This will now be the fourth delay? Have they provided a reasoning as to?
The only explanation they gave was that they have been working for a cross easement with the bank next door, so that because there's right-in, right-out restrictions at that location on Irving Park Road, they wanted a cross easement with the bank next door, and so that took some time to work through. And then the second statement, the reason for the possible fourth extension that's in the agreement is that if they expect that if they get too late in the fall, that they will not be able to start construction, and so they don't want to carry the property through the winter.
So they want to purchase the property
Next spring.
later? Oh, okay. Thank you.
And I'm waiting for my Arby's.
So they're willing to provide funds to the village to hold that property
Okay.
off the market,
Okay,
basically.
thank you.
Very good. Any other questions? Hearing none, Christine, call the roll.
And this requires a 3/4 vote of the corporate authority.
Trustee Kemper.
Yes.
Dane Foley.
Yes.
Trustee Freedy.
Yes.
Ms. Sun.
Yes.
Trustee Gutierrez.
Yes.
Trustee Porter.
Yes.
Mayor Gray.
Yes. All right. Okay, let me move with that. Back to the agenda. Where the heck are we? Okay, 8816, move to pass an ordinance establishing special service area number 9 in the Village of Hanover Park, DuPage County, Illinois. A motion?
So moved.
Second.
A motion and a second. Discussion.
Now I bring up my
Mr. Porter.
Okay. I went on a bike ride today. It's been a long day. All righty. Yeah, so the question about the 5% tax freeze.
Right.
Being
So
permanent.
It's
and-
not a tax freeze. So what it is, the property, like your house or any other property in town, has an equalized value assessment.
Mhm.
And when that is determined every year, that is when the tax rates are applied against it. So this ordinance establishes a tax rate that's authorized to be levied not to exceed 5%. So that would be the max rate that the village could ever levy against this property on an annual basis. Now, in this particular case, this is a commercial piece of property, and all of the owners of this property, I think, are fairly sophisticated people in the commercial world. And this is kind of what they have agreed to in their covenants, that they would permit the village to do this if, for any reason, they or any of the lot owners don't fulfill their obligations, particularly more or less the public obligations, under the covenants for this subdivision. That's one thing. The other thing is that we have a stormwater ordinance, and I believe the stormwater ordinance also requires some sort of method for the payment if the private property owners fail to maintain their stormwater facilities, and this includes stormwater facilities.
So this would cap that rate at 5%?
Correct, and 5 is a huge rate, because,
Well, that's what I was gonna ask, because if the market and if the EAV dictates it, we would still be capped at 5%.
this is just for the special service area. So for instance, on your tax bill, your total rates, when you add them all up, might come to, let's say, I don't know what they are in Hanover, but let's say it's 10%. This is the equivalent of half of that. So this is a pretty big rate. It is. And it would be unlikely that the village would ever maintain that. Unlikely.
So this, like the other SSAs, will come before the village board at your budget hearings, and we will present the recommendation at that point as part of the levy discussion, if there is a levy needed or recommended. And then you'll be able to make a decision at that point.
And we have some other special service areas that are dormant. This will be dormant. In other words, there's nothing that this one is going to generate on an annual basis unless they fail to do something out there. So we won't be levying anything on this special service area for the special service area purposes unless they fail to take care of their own property.
Okay.
This is a good thing. So, any other questions? Good question. Hearing none. Christie, if you would call the roll.
Trustee Bancole?
Yes.
Trustee Brady?
Yes.
Trustee Gusani?
Yes.
Trustee Gutierrez?
Yes.
Trustee Porter?
Yes.
And Trustee Kemper?
Yes.
Thank you. 6A17, move to approve warrant 721, 2022, in the amount of $1,862,322.16.
So moved.
Second.
Motion is second. Discussion. Hearing none. Christie, call the roll.
Trustee Brady?
Yes.
Trustee Gusani?
Yes.
Trustee Gutierrez?
Yes.
Trustee Porter?
Yes.
Trustee Kemper?
Yes.
Trustee Bancole?
Yes.
Very good. 6A18, move to approve warrant paid in advance 6/10/2022 through 7/15/2022 in the amount of $1,788,315.55.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. In conversation, hearing none. Christie, call the roll.
Trustee Gusani?
Yes.
Trustee Gutierrez?
Yes.
Trustee Porter?
Yes.
Trustee Kemper?
Yes.
Trustee Bancole?
Yes.
And Trustee Brady?
Yes.
Thank you. 8A19, move to approve May 2022 P cards in the amount of $30,593.40.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. Christie, call the roll.
Trustee Gutierrez?
Yes.
Trustee Porter?
Yes.
Trustee Kemper?
Yes.
Trustee Bancole?
Yes.
Trustee Brady?
Yes.
And Trustee Gusani?
Yes.
Thank you. Village Managers Report, Juliana.
A couple items. First, there's both the May and June treasurer's reports on the agenda in your packet. If you have any questions, we'd be happy to answer them.
Juliana, The TIF 4, which area is that? That we have 1.2 million in there, and TIF 3, that 1.8. I was just curious as to which areas are these.
So TIF 4 is at Barrington and Irving Park Road, that area with Menards.
Okay.
And then the
And
TIF
3.
TIF 3 is around the train station, north and south, that whole
Okay.
area. The whole, our village center
Village center.
area,
Okay,
and then
that's where we
the
need those.
properties north, like we're talking about Gary and Lake, Church and Lake, and then also at the corner, the Newman property at
Okay.
County Farm.
So that's a huge project going on there. Those will be your intent to use it. There's now TIF 4, which is Barrington and Irving Park. Is there any plans, anything going on there that we are using the money to lift the faces of the businesses, or something that you have planned?
So we, my understanding is that the Chapala closed. So I believe that it did. And that, that's a building that we've wanted to encourage to receive a new facade and get improved in that area. There are some requirements in the TIF for redevelopment agreement that we have with Menards, so they get some payments out of that as well. At one point, we had hoped to, prior to my coming, they had hoped to bury some of the lines that were in that area, but that work has not been able to be accomplished to this date.
Okay. Do we proactively see if the businesses that needs a facade outside that would make Look Hanover Park better, and actively approach them, or they're supposed to contact us and see what they can?
We had been successful with Harbor Freight when they went in, and then they worked with the auto business next door, and then the hope is that they would continue with the facade further down the building. Schuber, you might have some other contacts that you have made, but they're, with the new facade program that the board approved, I think that gives us another tool to go out and try to encourage them to make improvements to their building, and then that would be paid for out of that TIF district.
Okay.
We did that little seating area they did by Menards. We've had some interest, not a lot of interest. The state is coming in and doing some major improvements to that intersection. So businesses might be holding off to see, once that's finished, what they'd like to do.
Is there a traction to that? I was going to ask you about the last approval that we did for owners to participate, and they're paying half and we're paying half. I think it was 250,000 and 50,000 maximum.
For the facade improvement program?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there any
You can
traction to
just
that
speak
at all?
that. I think we've had a couple inquiries, not a lot yet.
Not popular, huh?
Yeah, we've received 2 applications so far for the facade improvement grant, one in TIF 4 and one in TIF 5. We are waiting to hear back from a couple others in TIF 3 and 5. So there is some traction, but we have a cap on how much. It's a 50-50 reimbursement with a max of 25 grand.
Okay. Okay. All right, thank you.
Okay.
And
Any other questions?
just one more question. So you said the state is coming in to do improvements to Barrington and Irving?
Correct, that whole intersection.
Oh, okay. In what way?
Do you want to
Do you know?
explain, John? They're, it's pretty extensive. I know that they've been purchasing right-of-way.
It's currently under construction. They're up there working right now doing utility relocates, but they're adding a turn lane. I'm trying to think. It maybe northbound, southbound. So there's dual lefts. They're doing safety improvements, pedestrian improvements.
Median.
Yeah.
So
But it's north and south on Barrington and east-west on Irving Park.
Okay.
So last year, I mean, time flies, but about a year ago, Walgreens had moved their sign, so they've done that. There's been discussions with the Jiffy Lube to move their sign so that these improvements can be made.
Okay, thank you.
Very good.
Was this part, while we have that, or maybe, yeah, I'll go ahead and do it now since we have Jonathan on the clock. Was this improvement part of what we had been discussing for the Irving Park Barrington Road maybe a couple of sessions ago when we were, talking about them doing those improvements, where they're going to widen the lanes and add lanes? Is this all part of that project?
Yes.
And does that include removing that island on the eastbound side of Irving Park Road and Barrington, that island that just kind of sits out there and serves no purpose?
I believe they're replacing it. They're adding medians along both Barrington and Irving Park to prevent people from cutting across 5 lanes of traffic right next to the intersection. So they're doing safety improvements by adding raised medians out there. But I believe they will be replacing some of those out there.
And we can get a simple plan to you so that you can see kind of what they're proposing over there. But if there's any other questions that John can answer?
I'm good. I was wondering what was going on, and I knew that was in the plan, and I didn't know if this was that. So, yeah, at least that answers that question for me.
Yeah, the state's been slow getting going on this thing. Barrington Road is county road, and Irving is the state road, correct?
Yes.
John?
They're both state routes.
Oh, they're both state routes?
When does it become county?
In DuPage County, it's a county route, but in Cook County, Barrington is a state route.
All right. I just wanted to get some clarity there. I thought I got some misinformation.
I have more.
Help me.
And then one final thing, is it possible that we could do some type of redirection of traffic? Because it's really backing up on the northbound traffic on Barrington Road. Can we put up some detours or some signs to help people avoid that intersection? Because it backs up all the way almost down to Walnut, but certainly down to Sycamore past our ball fields. It's backing up. So can we do anything to help mitigate that traffic snarl?
The best we could probably do is let people know that intersection is under construction. We don't really want to detour people through the neighborhoods, and that would be probably the likely, the best as a local municipality that we could do. And I don't think IDOT will do a detour for that situation because it is still open. But we could provide some more press, more announcements to warn people that there is, the intersection is under construction.
Figure a reroute for themselves.
Yeah.
Well, even that would be helpful.
Yeah.
Because I've had to reconfigure my traffic patterns, based on that.
You, me, both.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Jonathan.
Sorry, John, one more. Did IDOT, you said the state owns both. So did IDOT give you an estimate as to how long this project will take?
Initially they did, but they thought they would have started this work a long time ago.
The gravel pits, the unions are on strike.
Right.
So everything is on hold.
Okay.
I think they're 2 years
a
behind
year and a
schedule
half.
already.
It's really put a damper on a lot of stuff.
You don't want to hear the answer.
Okay.
A year and a half.
A year and a half?
I think before they're finally finishing up. It won't be lane shutdowns lane closures that whole time, but there will be construction going on out there probably through well into next year.
Okay.
Because they haven't even, they're still under utility relocations, so that's like NICOR and ComEd doing work out there. They haven't even started the IDOT work.
So for a while.
Yeah.
So yeah, if please, if you could let us know when those communications go out, because I would be happy to also blast out that information if it is going to be that period of time. So.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Sorry, we hijacked your trustee report, trustee Husani.
It's my report.
Not my report.
It's Juliana's report.
Was I that long?
You just had a question.
He had the question.
Oh, you had the first
Sorry.
question.
Started it.
Okay.
It's his fault.
I'm all over the place.
You are.
What's going on? I need a drink.
Okay, Mayor, when did you lose control? I don't,
Still do that.
okay. Are we ready to move on?
No, I still have more.
No,
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's okay. I had forwarded to you the correspondence that went back and forth with the owner and developer of 900 Irving Park Road. There is a request from the developer to, for the ability to rent additional units. As the new buildings are coming online, there is the capacity under our policy for 2 additional rentals that the board had put in place an amendment a while back saying, capping it at 25%. So the request now is for the other 9, the remainder of the 9 units which have been unable to be sold to date to be rented for up to 3 years. And so prior to going, this will involve a redevelopment agreement amendment as well as an amendment to the covenants. So before we begin work on those document changes, the question is before the board on whether there's interest in doing that or not.
Okay,
Because
well,
that,
I have a question in regards to that. Would the number of units that she's looking to do this with, are they gonna be under one owner or multiple owners?
our recommendation would be that they would, once the unit's sold, that this is prior to the sale. The request is while she owns them, while the developer still owns them and is unable
Okay,
to
so
sell
it would be,
them.
the developer would still own them while renting them out in the process? Okay.
Well, on top of that, I would not support the developer selling it to somebody that's planning to rent
Right,
it out.
that's the point I was getting at.
Yeah. No, I can appreciate the extra time moving along until she can sell them, but I don't want to turn this into rental property.
Right.
And that's my understanding. I haven't had detailed discussions and negotiations with her on this and the drafting of an amendment until I got a sense from the board as to whether this was even something that they were open to consider.
So these 9 units are townhomes, single family, what are these?
They're probably a combination.
These are the same units that she's been building out on
Because these are
Miranda.
mixed, right? Like she's having single families as well as
Well, they're
townhomes, or is it
duplexes
all
and
townhomes?
No, they're all
So-
the same.
All
yeah.
townhomes? Okay.
So the project that she has involves sort of like the first phase of it included 2 plats of just townhomes. And the original covenants, the original agreement between the village was that none of them could be rented.
That was the board's direction, yes.
Then the village amended that to allow a limited amount of rental, up to 25% under certain conditions. And now her proposal is to allow her to rent.
I got my answer, Bernie, thank you.
You're welcome.
I think that she's been placed in a untenable situation because of COVID and what that has done to her construction schedule and some of the plans that we originally approved. I think that I would be in favor, because as I looked at what was sent to us on this subject, it's a temporary situation that she would be renting these out until the market turned. And then once the market turns and the real estate market returns to something close to normal, then she would pursue selling these. So there wouldn't be a permanent rental units out there. There would only be for a period of maybe 2 or 3 years or whatever, the market dictates. Is that a correct understanding of what she's asking?
I just know that in her request, she has asked for up to 3 years for this provision.
And that's for
to be
the
put in
additional
place.
10 units that are coming on?
The 9 units.
The 9 units that are coming on, that an additional 3 years to do that. Like I said, I think she's been placed in a tough situation because of COVID and what all of the construction industries, commercial real estate and industries have gone through. And I'd like to give her every opportunity to complete this project and to get it done. So if we can assist in that manner, I would be in favor of the administration taking steps to secure that.
Any other comments?
Yeah, I would also be in favor of having those additional units serve as rentals. But just a little bit of clarification. So there are 9 that are built that are currently vacant that no?
10
That are currently vacant. So 10.
9. The request is 9 that are vacant.
10 that are built, 9 that are vacant.
Okay.
So 1 sold.
Right. Okay.
That's
Okay. So of those 9, she would like all 9 to become rentals for a period of 3 years.
I believe so.
That is the request.
I believe so.
Okay. And then any unit that's being built moving forward would be for sale. It's just these 9 vacant ones that she's asking.
Yeah, we do not have any permits for the final buildings to be built at this point. I don't know if she's going to move forward with that at this time, and when she will start building again.
Probably,
Okay.
There's not a time frame where she has to start building that building.
It's better
I think she's just having difficulty. I had asked if she was going to be, she couldn't meet because of another commitment, but, and I haven't had a detailed discussion with her.
Okay.
But my understanding from her, I met with her last month, was that the construction costs are really high right now.
Right.
And she may hold off on building that other building till things get
They are
better.
starting to come
Okay.
down, but delivery times are still, and availability is still not all where it needs to be.
Okay.
So, but it's a hassle.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions
think-
regarding that?
So
Like
any other
high-end.
comments? Do we have a consensus to support the initiative? Looks like we do.
So I think these are like units are high-end.
They are.
Townhomes, right? These are not, so probably rented to, with a high price and stuff like that as well.
Sayed, have you taken a tour of them at all?
Yeah. You did, didn't you?
I won't.
We've been in the
There's
They're
only
very-
like,
they're-
there's
they're
only
very-
like 1
very
or
nice.
2, yeah, they're very nice. There's only
Yeah.
1 or 2 people per rental unit, and she understands our concern with rental properties becoming dilapidated, et cetera. So, and if it's for 3 years, and if it helps this project get back up and running, I don't have a problem with it.
I'll be in favor too.
And any rental then goes into our rental residential program, so it will be inspected once a year? Once a year. So, and she's been part of that process on the rentals that have been in place so far.
So how have the inspections gone on the existing rentals?
I'm not aware of any problems with them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very good. Listen to all the comments. I think we have a consensus to move forward.
Okay, I'll work with Bernie and their attorney to see what steps need to be taken.
Very good. And she has a partner to help her move forward? Is that my understanding? Is that what you shared?
She has
There
an
was something
investor,
in her, an investor, or something in her letter that she
Okay.
reflected.
Very good.
I have no further report.
Any questions for Juliana before we move on anything? Hearing nothing. Village clerk's report, Kristen?
I'll keep it short and sweet. Mark your calendars for August 7th. We have the annual car show this year, and we've expanded. We have 4 food trucks coming, the band. The Lions Club will be doing a beer tent type of thing to raise money for them. The Park District is coming with the Parks Foundation to sell candy and stuff, so we're kind of getting the whole community involved. So if you know of any businesses that kind of want to get their names out there, send them my way, we can get them on. It's free for them to come and share their stuff. And I'm excited that the Midwest Car Stars, thank you, Lisa, for helping getting that going, is going to be there, so our residents will be able to vote on the Car Star cars from the movies. So
Pretty
and they'll get
cool.
a special little trophy. So registration is open online at hpil.org/carshow. So tell all your friends to sign up.
Sounds good.
That's all I have, sir.
I think the Stars cars
Uh-huh.
will be kind of a cool addition.
Ghostbusters is coming. I just saw that.
Ghostbusters?
The Ghostbusters car. It'll be there.
We'll have to play that music, right?
We will.
All right, Corporation Council report.
No report, thank you.
Thank you. Trustee Husani?
All right. We had an Economic Development Committee meeting on July 12th. We had a guest speaker, Cook County Assessor Office staff, to answer any questions about taxes, and there were some very engaging conversations from the audience, well-attended event. I was also on Zoom as well for participants who cannot make it in person. Even well, Shubra did a good job. Development Commission 714. There were two public hearings. One public hearing was about a variance, and the second public hearing was about the consideration amendments to Hanover Park Comprehensive Zoning Ordinance regarding regulations pertaining to adult use, recreation, cannabis businesses, including changes. So this was something that was sent by the board to have a discussion by the Development Commission. So they had a great discussion, and what stood out to me that was the plan to keep it a standalone building for cannabis would stay. That's what the majority of the agreement was by the Development Commission. And there were other things that Shubra will discuss that later in her, bring it to the board. What happened in Highland Park on July 4th, very sad, and it happened, it seems like it hit home, and I'm sure every trustee would want to talk about it, so I'm not going to take too much time on that, but the more I think about it, the more it's a tangled up conversation as to where do we even start with having conversation on this. We are too minute as a village, but hopefully we can make an impact. But what Highland Park did in 2013, we're trying to do it now. So what impact did that make on Highland Park that this happened? That question alone. So it's just there's way too many unanswered questions at this point. I think there has to be a national effort on this, not our municipal is too small to stop something here and somebody can go in next town and do something that we're trying to stop here. So I'll leave it at that. I'm sure every trustee would want to tap into and have discussion.
Thank
So
you.
Thank you, that's my report.
Okay, thank you. Trustee Gutierrez?
Yes. So July 4th is a day of celebration in my family, as one of my children was born on that day, but we have a scar now. And I am rather speechless as to what happened. And I hope that we can come together as a board to take action of some type to ensure that other communities are safe. I'm also working with our board, and I'm asking our board members to please consider a donation to our sister HP, Highland Park. Mayor, I know you were talking to Mayor Nancy about possibly having a donation to them. So I know that they are creating a recovery center. And so I would strongly suggest for our board members, and I've reached out to some of you, to donate to Highland Park. Did Mayor Nancy give you
The Highland Park Strong website?
the Highland Park Strong website? Okay, yeah. So,
That was recommended to me by Nancy.
By the
Rotary,
mayor, yeah.
Mayor,
yes. She was speaking today, was it yesterday?
yesterday.
Yesterday, I've got all my days mixed up. I saw her today, she was speaking yesterday, as they were passing the bipartisan Safer Communities Act as well, so. The only other thing I have is working on the Transportation Infrastructure Committee, and this is spearheaded by Harper College, and it includes Palatine, Wheeling, Schaumburg, Hanover Park, Elk Grove, and hopefully Bloomingdale and Wayne Townships.
And DuPage County.
And DuPage County, yes. And the idea is to work collaboratively to create a smooth transportation system, especially between Cook and DuPage. There's nothing more irritating for people to get off at our metro station but not be able to get in further into DuPage. So we're thinking about that extra mile. And so we had a great conversation, and all of these townships are coming to this meeting, and we meet every 2 weeks. So it's a lot of work, and so thanks to Mayor Craig and I, we went over to CMAP offices. We grabbed somebody who's going to be able to help us, and they're looking at a special project for our area, and if anything, at least for Hanover Park, because how we sit within these 4 townships. So I'm really excited about the Transportation Infrastructure Committee. The issue I think that we have is that people want to look at things equally and say, well, you have so many buses and we only have one, so let's make it, you know, and they have to think about equality and not about equal. So I think that's where we might butt heads, but there's always a way to collaborate. And so I'm just excited that all of these townships are willing to work together so that their dial-a rides are not only for disabled and elderly folk, but also to make it more equitable in some way as well. So
Elderly with diabetes problems.
yes, a lot of elderly, and they do use them, and they sadly a lot of them have to wait long hours. So it's there, it just needs to be improved. So that's the only thing that we're working on, and let me tell you, that's a lot of work because it's every 2 weeks.
So I want you to observe the difference it made when we made the trip downtown.
To CMAP, yeah.
Just Vicki was hooked up.
Yes.
She's now a part of this committee, and she's reaching out to how they can develop and write a grant that'll work for all these townships.
And I have to thank you for that, because I didn't want to go to Chicago on a Friday. I was like, oh man, I've got so much work to do, but I'm on this as part of my job as well. And I'm like, can't we just zoom in? But not only was it beautiful, because it's the old post office, which has the largest garden on top. I mean, it is gorgeous, but we made this connection and we found out that CMAP has somebody assigned to Hanover Park. So that was perfect, so I'm excited about that. So thank you, Mayor.
You knew that would happen, that we went down there. That was a very valuable trip, and that kind of commitment by a community makes a difference. So Lisa and I walked on the roof, 3.5 acres of garden?
Yeah, it's the biggest
Unbelievable.
garden out here.
Very good. Thank you, Lisa. Trustee Porter.
Thank you. This morning, I attended with the Northwest Mayor Council, the Bicycle and Pedestrian Committee. We had a ride in Miami Woods and Niles, where we looked at some of the things that they've done in the city of Niles with their bike path, and they've done some really, really nice things with crossings and with dedicated bike paths that they shared with members of the committee. There were a number of communities that were there. So it was very informative, and I think that it gives me some additional information to discuss with TJ and Jonathan as we continue our bicycle plan, and as we go into the budgeting session, as we start looking at budgeting dollars for some of these improvements. But the ride through Miami Woods was really nice. Wasn't too hilly, so I was able to persevere for the length of it. We rode over to the Niles Municipal Building, where we saw a presentation and they provided lunch, and then we rode back. But it's really interesting what can be done with these bike paths, and I'm looking forward to the day when we can point to some of those type of improvements and additions to Hanover Park streetscape, where we do have dedicated bicycle paths. They talked about the issues and the challenges when you go across some of the, when you come across roads that are controlled by IDOT. There are some considerations sometimes when there are railroads that are involved and all of the collaborations that have to be accomplished in order to make some of these happen. But they were able to get a lot of this done. They got some grants through CMAQ that helped them do it so that that cost wasn't borne by the municipality itself. And so it was a very good outing, and I was glad to be able to participate in that. I stayed up on Tuesday night, and I endured it for as long as I could, the Naperville City Council meeting, which went 4+ hours, where they discussed the ordinance to ban the sale of assault weapons. I went back and looked at the recorded session so that I could fast forward to the end and see some of the discussions from the city council there. What they had was a first reading of the ordinance, and they will bring it back at a future board meeting. I don't know if it'll be the next one, but at a future board meeting where they will have a vote on the proposed ordinance. I did look at the ordinance, and I saw some of the comments. Listened to some of the comments from the spectators, those who attended on both sides of the issue, and people made very pointed points, pertinent points on both sides to be considered. I was especially interested in the comment made by their village attorney, who felt that the ordinance as written would probably withstand the legal challenge, the way that they wrote it, and that it would withstand that. I know that that's been a concern of ours, that there would be lawsuits and legal challenges and that type of thing. But I commend the village of Naperville for taking on this very difficult issue, for having the courage to move forward and to put forth this ordinance. I think it's something that we can all learn from. It's my hope that if enough communities begin to take this type of initiative, that we can put pressure on the General Assembly to take a step and to do what they need to do. I think absent prodding from the municipalities and forcing their hand on this, I think that they'll just drag, and it's an election year, so the probability that they're going to vote and do something in the election year is really pretty low, that it's going to happen. But I think that we can lead on this, the municipalities and the towns. We don't have to wait for the national government, for federal government, or for state government to do something. I think we can lead, and in leading, we can give direction, and I think we can help drive the conversation. So I would like to see our town, Hanover Park, take up the issue of the ordinance and follow the model set by the Naperville City Council, where we have a first reading of the ordinance, where we put it together. We have we open it up in a session where the residents and interested parties can come and speak their piece, and we put it up for a first reading. We take input from the community. We amend and revise the ordinance based on that input that we receive from the community, and then at a future board meeting, bring it up for a vote. I'm not in favor of waiting for the state or for the federal to come to some kind of conclusions on this. I don't think that I'd like to think that they would save us, but I think we have to have the courage to step forward and take the initiative on this. It's the only way I think that something is going to happen. And I think at this point, there are certain points of agreement. I think people are generally in agreement that, first of all, whatever your feelings are on assault weapons, that anyone under 21 years of age has no business with one under any circumstances having access to an assault rifle. And I know there's shooting clubs and competitions and those type of things. And I think that even those weapons should come under special consideration and special uses. So there are ways that we can go about this. We always use the word common sense, and then we fail to use common sense when we talk about dealing with the issue. So I was, encouraged by what I saw Naperville put forward on Tuesday. I do have a question on a different subject. That's all I have to say on that issue. Schuper, do you know what the timetable is for the Chase Bank on Irving Park Road? I know that they've completely torn that structure down. When do they plan on replacing it? And it looks like it'll be a multi-use facility based on what I've seen where it says space available. So what's going on with that property?
The space available is probably for the Westview. The Chase Bank is the bank building by itself. It's not a multi-use. They have received the building permits. Demo has begun. They have received full building permits to go forward with their construction. So it's in progress right now.
Okay,
But the
so-
space available sign, if you've seen, is for the Westview
For
Shopping
the
Center.
Westview Shopping
Yes.
Center, it's not for the
Not
Chase.
for
So it
Chase.
would be a dedicated
Correct.
facility
It's
for
just
a
the Chase
banking
Bank.
facility.
Exactly.
And they will, okay.
It's
Well,
very similar to what was
and
there
what's
before.
the time frame?
It's under construction already. They plan to open, I think, this fall. Is still their hope.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Guess where the trustee does his banking?
Yeah. I gotta go to Streamwood, and I hate going to the bank in Streamwood now. That just galls me every time I have to do that. And finally, we mentioned during the village manager's report, Trustee Hussaini brought it up that there is, I think the amount was 1.8 million available in the TIF 4 account. And I'm wondering, is any of that available? I know we talked about facade improvements, but another area that I think has been overlooked or maybe not mentioned is for parking lot improvements, because some of those parking lots are in terrible, terrible shape. Now, are we doing anything to assist the property owners with repairing the parking lots and, the deterioration that we see in so many of those parking lots?
The facade improvement grant actually does not have parking lots as an eligible improvement. And the facade improvement grant is only eligible for the properties that are within the TIFs. But the grant itself does not have parking lots as an eligible improvement.
And we would have to see whether that would be a TIF eligible expense.
Can we do that? Can we explore that and see? Because I think that to only do the facades and not address the parking lots would leave it would be doing it half done if we don't address the condition of the parking lot. So I'd like to at least explore that and see what revenues are available for us to assist with the parking lot improvements.
TIF 4 is the Irving Park one.
Yeah.
I don't know if any TIF funds are available to improve that lot that we own behind LA Fitness. That's a disaster. It smells. There's rodents running around in there, and we need to get after that. I don't know if that's a TIF eligible thing, but it is something that, as the owner, the village has the ownership of that. It's an embarrassment. So,
And you good? Mayor, are you good?
yeah, I'm,
Oh, okay. We mentioned that Chapala's has closed. Is that building connected to the Harbor Freight building? Is that one unit, that whole building? Is that one single building?
It's physically connected, but it's in separate ownerships. So the Harbor Freight and where the AutoZone used to be are both under single ownership. And then the other buildings are a separate ownership.
So physically they're connected, but in
Physically they're
ownership, they're
Correct.
divided
Correct.
in that, to do that, okay.
And
Is that-
I think there's a number of years on that lease that the car place walked away from,
AutoZone?
AutoZone. So that tells me they're paying on a lease that's vacant, right?
Well, I knew that that AutoZone might be in trouble when they opened up that beautiful AutoZone over in Streamwood, at the end of Westview, a
We knew
really
about
nice
that,
store there. And I was thinking that, whatever kind of franchise agreements probably wouldn't let you have two AutoZones that close to each other, that one would probably have to close. So I wasn't surprised I'm not surprised that they walked away from that contract and are going to shift all their operation to the new place. And so then that gives us that whole end of that building that is available for redevelopment and to put out on the market. Is that correct? Okay. And I'm sure we're at the very beginning of that process. So in terms of what we plan to do with it, or what any recommendations we have. Is it too early to ask if there's been any interest in it?
So actually, the owner of the Harbor Freight Tools building has been interested in acquiring the Chapala building, but until now, they had not had any luck. So now, with this change, with the business closing, I'll be working with them to see if.
And are they looking to expand? Then they would look to or a different business, or are they looking to expand? Do you know at this point?
Not for the purpose of expanding Harbor Freight at this time. There hasn't been any discussion, but to recruit new business. AutoZone actually still has about 7 years in their lease, but it doesn't do any, from the landlord's perspective, they still collect rent, but it doesn't help the village not having the sales tax.
Yeah, okay.
Schubert, there weren't any TIF improvements to AutoZone, was there?
No, for Harbor Freight there were,
But not AutoZone.
not for AutoZone.
So it was one owner at one time, right, for that whole thing?
Yes.
And so that TIF improvement, didn't it include the AutoZone?
It included the AutoZone building, and the Harbor Freight building is owned by the same owner. Yes.
In the TIF board, yes.
So I think the AutoZone
And
portion of the building had a TIF improvement.
We can
Can-
get additional information and forward that to the board.
Okay. All right, thank you. That concludes my report.
Thank you, trustee. And trustee Kemper?
Yeah, so while we were on our long recess this summer that we had, not having our first meeting in July, I had an interesting conversation with somebody in regards to our red flag laws that we adopted in 2019 in Illinois. And in Florida, they adopted red flag laws in 2018. New York adopted, and California also adopted red flag laws, along with a few other states. So since 2018 with Florida, they've had over 6,000 hits on the red flag laws that resulted in refusal of sale or confiscation of weapons. California and New York, both over 2,000 apiece. The state of Illinois, less than 150. This is 2019. So either we're very, very good here in Illinois, or there's something different that we're doing with our red flag laws that the other states are doing. With that being said, I'm not a fan of red flag laws because it's a violation of the constitutional right of due process, where you're guilty until proven innocent under the red flag law. With the red flag laws, over 60% of those weapons that the no sales or confiscations were reversed because the people proved that they were not guilty of what they were being denied. Okay? So with that, I think with the red flag laws, what our legislators need to do is, because a lot of these were false witness type of situations, there should be a false witness clause in these red flag laws that the person making false witness should be prosecuted. So that's just my thought, my opinion. So I think that's all I have with that. Let me look at the rest of my notes. Yeah, okay. And then, on another note, we have block parties coming up this weekend, next weekend, and mine is pending for August 6th. So, get out there, visit your block parties. We have some pretty good ones out there, and please, come to mine on August 6th. We have a pretty good time.
I won't miss the August 6th one. There's such a diversity of food at that one, at your block party.
Well, it's because it's a very diverse block. We have a lot of,
The Filipino
we're well
lady
represented
that brings
on
those
Newport
coconut
and
things.
Oakdale Circle.
Yeah.
So, and then also, I'm sure it's been a long time since some of us have looked at the Constitution. There's a free college course put out there on the Constitution, from the preamble, the Declaration, the Articles, and the amendments, put out by Hillsdale College. It's free. You can actually download the app free on your phone for Hillsdale College, or maybe, yeah. And also, if you have Roku, you can download their app on that, so you can access those classes. They also have a lot of other free classes for elected officials. So, just wanted to share that. And that concludes my report.
Thank you. Are you assuming you're done? Thank you, Trustee Kemper. Trustee Benko?
Yes, thank you. I want to again congratulate the Sister Cities Committee on several decades of commitment to our village, and also want to congratulate them on a very successful first annual Juneteenth event. I know a lot of work went into that, time and energy, so thank you. My thanks to that committee. I had the pleasure of attending a meeting about interfaith. There are a group of residents within Hanover Park that want to, or I believe have started, an interfaith organization. I think that we're going to be hearing a little bit more about them. They, if the board will recall, they, one of their members invited us to an Eid gathering in April earlier this year, and now they have kind of formed an organization of sorts, and so had the pleasure of attending one of their meetings and learning a little bit more about their current initiatives and you know, what they want to do and what they want to see in the community. So just wanted to make our board aware of a new organization within our village. Also wanted to make you guys aware that we have a new restaurant. We have several new restaurants, but one that I had the pleasure of attending is called Telaco Cochina. It's located at 5529 County Farm Road. And when I say these are some of the best tacos I've had in my life, I mean, it's that serious. So I would highly recommend that everyone stop, just a quick stop at this taco place. They sell tacos, tortas, burritos. Their food is amazing, and they're brand new, and so I welcome them to the village. But again, they're called Telaco Cochina, located at 5529 County Farm Road. So please go visit them and support their business.
Which shopping center are they in?
They're at the corner of County Farm and Greenbrook. They're like right across from, what is the water park?
Oh.
Thank you. Safari Springs. They're right there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I thought you said Army Trail, so I was trying to think.
Sorry, County Farm. County Farm in Greenbrook. Yeah.
Veterans Way.
Yeah. I want to thank the mayor and all the staff and our PD and our fire department that were all involved in the play ball event that we had recently. That was my first time attending one of those events. It was great. It was a lot of fun. I believe the fire department won.
You'd be correct.
And so congratulations to our fire department, and I believe it was a three-peat. So, I mean, it was like, so they didn't just win. I mean, this is like Michael Jordan statistics right now. So, anyways, congratulations. Was also able to recently attend a meeting with the Kenneth Young Center and DuPage Habitat for Humanity. They have an event coming up on July 30th. It is titled the Pathway Project Picnic. This event essentially will be held in a pathway in which DuPage Habitat for Humanity and Kenneth Young have identified as a pathway that is frequently used, but could use some beautification. And so they just want to highlight this pathway, but also while they're there at this event, there's an event coming up it's a picnic. They want to get the Green Brook Tanglewood area residents feedback on what they believe should be would be the best course of action in regards to revitalization and beautification efforts within that specific pathway. So again, it's coming up in a couple of weeks, July 30th. I believe it starts at 11 a.m. and it'll be a picnic held in this pathway. So wanted to make the board aware of that. And then last but not least, on this recess that we've had, I've also spent, similar to my fellow board members, I've also spent a lot of time thinking about gun violence in this country, how we can, as a society, collectively combat gun violence. I've thought about the Highland Park community, and truly my heart goes out to Mayor Roddering and the entire North Shore community for the tragedy that took place on July 4th. I've thought about being proactive as a village to work in the best way possible to make sure that a tragedy of that nature does not happen within our village. And so on this recess, I've spent time meeting with a couple different legislators within the General Assembly to learn more about their current legislation, which would amend the Criminal Code of 2012 and essentially ban assault weapons on a statewide level. I've also had conversations with legislators that would also essentially amend a clause in the 2013 Floyd Act, which gave exclusive powers to the state of Illinois in regards to all things guns. So it would essentially give some power back to home rule municipalities if they wanted to enact ordinances in which they banned assault weapons. And so I've spent so much time on this issue within the past month. I also just want to thank the mayor on for his leadership on this topic as well. I know he's done some outreach as well. I know Trustee Porter has as well to some of our electeds. But I'm in the thought that the time for action is now. I believe that inaction is not an option. You know, in the time that I initially asked for an ordinance to be presented to the board in which we would ban the sales of assault weapons, there have already been so many other mass shootings that have occurred. I've said this before, but I believe that it is our responsibility as a board to ensure the collective safety of our community. And so, with that being said, and I'm not sure if this would be a motion or if I would just get the general consensus of the board, but I would like to see our ordinance that would ban the sales of assault weapons. I would like to see that on the agenda of our next board meeting. So that would be August 4th. I initially requested for this ordinance to be brought forth before the board on June 2nd. I believe that in these almost 2 months, we've had an adequate amount of time to understand our authority as a home rule village. We've had time to reach out to Naperville and figure out how they are going to move forward. I know several of us watch their board meeting to get a better understanding of what their community believes, how their community believes Naperville should move forward. We've had time to reach out to other attorneys. We've had an adequate amount of time in regards to this matter. So I would like us to move forward. And so I would ask, I guess I'm seeking a consensus of the board to move forward and have this ordinance, similar to what Trustee Porter was saying, to have this ordinance be on our next agenda in a first reading fashion.
So let me just say, I've been tracking this quite actively. I certainly want to move ahead on this, but I think there's Naperville is looking at some what do you call it, outcome from the Supreme Court in Illinois, and you know, the sale. We're just talking about the sale of these guns, and that 3 times that's been over. You know, said it was in violation. We're under a restriction, as you mentioned, as a municipality. I really have a couple things on before us that I'd like to hear from the owner of the gun place, the second meeting in August. I'd like to see the outcome of the second meeting or the resolution, or whether they come up with a resolution or not in Naperville, but the ordinance as it comes forward in Naperville. I'd like to see a couple of those events occur so we can have some additional learning from that. I think the first meeting in August is too premature, but I aggressively think we should move forward. And I'm also talking to our legislators about providing us some kind of coverage. And you mentioned changing the law that was enacted in 2013 that gave us 10 days, you know, to have coverage for that. So I'm just asking for some time so that we can keep it on the burner, but to have a checkpoint of a few things that are occurring that we can learn from. And so I think we can limit that. I saw Naperville also gave opportunities for the sale to the military, to the police, and a number of other things. I want to look at that. I think there's some work that needs to be done still that we can learn from others, but we have to keep it on the front burner. And I agree with that. There's something we need to do, and what we do and how we do it, I think, demonstrates the leadership that we are known for in this community. I don't want to get the horse ahead of the cart ahead of the horse, so to speak. And if we can have a little patience with that, I think we'll be in a really good shape to provide something that protects our community. I don't know that we're going to do anything that protects our community, because these people, it seems that go
No,
and
especially
do
when you
whatever they
can
want,
obtain
wherever they
those
want.
weapons
So,
in the black market, so.
well, I don't want to enable
If,
the illegal guns.
can I?
So respectfully, Mayor, I think that we have had enough time to move forward, enough discussion, enough time has passed to move forward with a reading. I mean, for almost 2 months now, and I feel like a broken record because I keep repeating myself. I've asked to see an ordinance in which the sales of assault weapons are banned within the village. And after I made that request, we had consensus of the board. I don't want that to be forgotten. So that was a direction that still has not occurred. And in the 2 months that direction has, that request has been made, Highland Park has happened. People have died. And so I don't think, I think time is of the essence. I think that we should move forward. You know, it's not as if we are moving into new terrain. We have our neighbors in Naperville in which they have 6 attorneys working on an ordinance in which I believe we will be modeling our ordinance after. And so,
That's why,
again,
that's
I'm-
exactly why I asked for patience on this.
okay, but we've had 2 months, 2 months of discussion, 2 months of reaching out to Range USA, who I'm great. It's great that they want to finally meet with us, but I was trying to meet with them in June, right? They couldn't meet with us in June, couldn't meet with us in July. Now they're going to meet with us in August. So it's great that they're going to meet with us, that we're going to you know, get their take on this whole situation. But people are dying, and I want to make sure that these tragedies do not happen in Hanover Park. I am of the belief that we need to move forward, and so that's why I am asking for a consensus on this matter.
Can I?
Any other conversation?
Yes, I don't see why we should wait anymore, because ordinances do take a long time, so that if indeed, as the city attorney in Naperville said, that our home rule status can allow us to regulate the sale of certain items, then we've got an ordinance. And so I don't see why we can't press our legislature and say, you have to act to protect us while we're working on this ordinance. And I do recall when Trustee Bankole brought it up, and that we were in consensus that we wanted to see something, and nothing has happened. And maybe an ordinance is not gonna stop this, but it's at least gonna be a reflection of who we are. And it's gonna say very clearly that Hanover Park won't help armed mass shooters. And so why can't we do both, so that we have an ordinance that we're working on while we are pressing forward? We are all contacting, I know I am, speaking with our legislators and saying, you need to protect us. You
Now,
need to protect us.
Trustee.
So why can't we do both?
Trustee Gutierrez.
Trustee Kemper.
Now, mass shootings, the majority of mass shootings are done with pistols, not with rifles.
And I'm not gonna go through that argument again.
I understand that,
And I
okay?
understand.
But you want to, okay, so I have a picture here of 7 different rifles. 5 of them are hunting rifles. 2 of them are classified as, by you guys, as assault rifles. They're all the same rifle.
We're specifically,
all the
we're
same
asking,
rifle.
we're all specifically asking for an AR-15 with the capacity to shoot a lot
Right,
larger.
okay, but
And
these
so-
aren't AR-15s, it's the same rifle.
Okay, but
Okay.
that's not the one that they're using. It seems like the AR-15
I understand
is
that,
the
but when you
one.
take those away, which ones are they gonna use?
I don't know, but we have to start somewhere, and we have to take a stand to say, in our community, we won't allow these folks to be armed. And I don't understand why we can't do both and say, ask legislature to protect us and do that. Listen, when
Right.
when
One of the
we
first
found
major
out,
mass
excuse me,
schools-
when
okay,
we
one at a
first
time.
find out that not wearing a seatbelt was hurting us, we made a law. Put your seatbelt on.
Right, but
You
driving's
know,
a privilege,
we
not a
make-
constitutional right.
We make laws for a reason to protect us. And so that is all I'm asking for. This is getting closer and closer and closer to our homes. I said it before, Uvalde is small town America like us, and then Highland Park happened. It's getting too close.
Now, all on this is you take away one, they're gonna use another, okay? The first mass school shooting in the history of this country, Austin, Texas, okay? The single bolt action rifle. A single bolt action rifle.
So,
Trustee,
yeah, I won't belabor this because I think I've made my point pretty clear on this. I also am of the opinion that using the model that Naperville has developed in putting together their ordinance and the process that they've undertaken, I think gives us some direction that we can emulate and do something very similar here in Hanover Park. I do know that there are trustees on the board that would like to, I don't see why we can't walk and chew gum at the same time. I don't see why we can't pursue our own ordinance while putting pressure on the General Assembly to do what they need to do in order to give us that coverage. And I think that in taking our action, we may give them some direction and some insight as to what should be included in that legislation if they see what the communities are demanding. And I said all that earlier. So to the point that was made by Trustee Bancole, I think that we certainly are in a position where we can have that first reading of the ordinance, invite the community to come in and give their input. I would certainly not want to do anything without community input because we do represent them. Give them an opportunity to come in and voice their opinions, give their input, and fashion our ordinance for a vote to either vote it up or down at a future board meeting. And I think it deserves that process. So I would join with my two fellow trustees that have spoken out on this issue that I would like to see us have that initial reading of an ordinance and then schedule a vote for it at a future date, which may come after all of these other things have happened when we get around to taking the final vote. But I would like to see us not delay this any further. So I just want to add my support to what I've heard from Trustee Bancole and Trustee Gutierrez.
So the ask is for a workshop or a board review of an ordinance?
Draft
A
ordinance.
draft ordinance.
Board review.
For the board to review a draft, the first reading of an ordinance.
and so Naperville will be providing their final review based on some additional review on their part and their attorneys and God knows who else. All I'm asking for is the patience for them to complete that and for the range owner in Hanover Park to come and speak to us. So we're not talking a year from now. We're just talking, for me, it's process oriented. And I like, I believe the faster you go, the further behind you get. So I'd rather us have a little patience on that matter. I'd like to see some of the outcomes of these, Naperville and others. Even Highland Park hasn't jumped up and they've got that ordinance, but they know the state is in a position to either open it up so the rest of us can, I think you articulated that nicely, for the state to back off of that statute that doesn't permit us to move forward. And so I'm just asking for time. Thanks. Juliana?
Just logistics. The August 4th meeting, there's a workshop on your calendar. All of the architects and everyone are coming in to give a presentation to the board, the homeowners association, the library on the new fire station. So that is scheduled as the workshop on the 4th. But there's also a workshop on the 18th, which, somebody mentioned earlier, the representative from Range USA is going to be here to hear what you have to say, as well as anything else. We could potentially expand that meeting to have input from the public.
I still don't understand why we can't at least start it so that, and I get it, that we probably are not gonna act on anything until we see what Naperville does, until we see what the courts do, but at least to start this so that we have, even if it's just the first paragraph, something that we're looking at. And we're not gonna solve it in that one meeting.
I understand. It's just, I was saying from a logistics perspective, I think that I heard that there was a very large crowd for the discussion in Naperville. And I think we're going to have quite a few people on August 4th here for the discussion on the fire station. So
Well, we packed the joint in 2013, and it was, it wasn't a pretty time. I'm
I
just
mean, you could
asking
also
for
have
patience, that's all.
a separate meeting as well, if you so choose.
I want to take a smart approach, and that's what a little bit of time here will provide us. That's all.
So, thank you.
Any other comments?
Yeah.
So I think 4 trustees are asking for it now, to have it on next board meeting. So I don't think there is a reason to delay it, or we're not saying we're gonna take a vote and make a decision, no. Let's review it.
I agree.
So 4 trustees are saying it now, so if anything happens here, this is something weird. This is not supposed to happen. I don't know, Attorney Paul could say it to it, but 4 trustees are asking for it and cannot be a pushback on this.
I agree. And I have some concerns about our village business being dictated by one company's inability to meet with us. I think it's almost a strange request to tell the board that we must wait to discuss an issue that concerns our collective safety in order to meet the scheduling requirements of one business. I'm having some trouble with that. And so, to Trustee Husseini's point, if we could move forward with that, I don't know.
So I'm hearing you want to do what they did in Naperville, first reading. We don't typically do that, but we can.
I think that the first reading will allow the public to provide some of their commentary, their thoughts, their concerns. I think this is a big issue, and I think our residents deserve that. I don't know if any more direction is needed. I don't know if I need to make a motion.
No, I think, I've heard 4 trustees say they want to move ahead. I can't imagine not having patience to see some of these things come forward out of Naperville and from the state. Now, the state, I'm not really excited about them taking any action at all. And I understand trying to send a message, but there's a concern I have on the risk being the fees that we'd be looking at for attorney fees. And while you say that there's somebody willing to volunteer that, if we prevail or not, if we don't prevail, then we're going to be out a lot of money.
But what attorney fees are we going to incur with the first reading of an ordinance?
Oh, no, we are not for the first
okay.
reading.
All right, okay.
Okay, no, I'm not arguing that, I'm just,
okay.
I'm trying to figure out, we can have a first reading and then defer action until after everything else is in place.
And I think we're basically saying that's the path that we want to take.
Okay,
But we want to start this process with the first reading and then let future actions be dictated by the result of that meeting.
okay. It's just,
So is the first
I just
reading
know that we're
gonna be
gonna have a
November 4th
packed
or
room of angry
August
people.
4th?
And I thought
Okay.
the mayor in Naperville handled it nicely, and it's a good model. But we'll see how that goes.
So I'd just like to end my report by, I guess, stating that there is clarity that this ordinance will be, I want to be crystal clear, because there have been times in the past where I've been told that things are not clear. So on August 4th, there will be an ordinance on our agenda in which the board will review and discuss in a public manner. Is that clear? Is that, okay.
Well, it'll be a reading, so it'll be kind of like
It'll be regular-
it wouldn't actually be an item, just a discussion item, not an item that we're going to be voting on, because it's going to be an open meeting to the public to come and discuss.
Correct. Correct. That concludes my report. Thank you.
Before you move on to Trustee Prigge, can I jump in? There was something that I left out of my report that is really important that I need to mention. I visited a place called My Celebration Party Room. and I didn't know that it existed.
It's so cute.
And it's over in the Greenbrook Shopping Center. And I was so thrilled. She took me in and she showed me the property. And you know, I've been advocating for a room in Hannibal Park since I've set foot on the board.
Right.
So to walk in and see this, and I'm like, well, how come I didn't know about this?
Yeah, right.
My daughter calls me and you know, she says, you know, you got a room in Hanover Park. I'm like, you're kidding. So, and it's really nice. They've got great plans for it. It's in the beginning stages of what they're going to do, and I think it's going to be, I think they can accommodate up to 150 people, which would really give us a place here in Hanover Park to hold some of our events. So I left that out and was there, and I left it out because I got all caught up in the other stuff. But I'm really excited about My Celebration Party Room over in Greenbrook. It's very nice, and it fills a hole in our business gap. So just wanted to mention that. And it seems like everybody knew about it but me, so I'm really late to the party again.
I didn't know about it.
You missed that liquor hearing.
Do they do like theme parties, like My Princess Party and stuff like that?
No, it's more of a banquet hall.
Oh, okay.
You can rent it out.
Yeah,
Okay, that's what I
banquet.
thought.
Yeah.
I think they're really exciting, what they presented. It was a nice paper.
Yeah, okay, that's it. I'm done.
Okay, so,
Trustee Prigge, I think is.
before I go to Trustee Prigge, I'd just like to say, it'll be on the agenda. It'll be a first reading on the agenda. I'm not comfortable moving ahead that fast. That's just who I am. I like to have all my ducks in order, and they're not. They're not in order. I haven't seen the results. I just like to have things comprehensively pulled together before I move on. And that's not the will of the board. And so, if we may take 2 steps forward and 1 back, but I do have a few concerns I've stated, and I've been very active reaching out to legislators with the U.S. Conference of Mayors. I'm on that. I've been very active relating things with Nancy in Northbrook. And I spend a lot of time in schools with kids.
I know.
And I can't tell you how important it is to me to see that this gets resolved in one way or another. My only concern is I don't want to take this great momentum forward and then we have to back out of it for whatever reason. So that's just my, I'm very supportive. I want to move forward, but I don't want to forget the fact that I don't want to drive people into underground, illegal manipulation with weapons. And so that's a concern. So we have to number of things to address. We'll move forward. I'm not afraid of moving forward. It's just not my best sense to do that. And just so I'm not pushing back on the thing, we'll move forward. We'll do a first reading, second reading. It was even suggested to me we ought to go out and find what the community wants by referendum. Okay? So there's different approaches we can take on this thing, but I'm really disappointed in our legislator that can't get their act together to provide coverage for this community and all the communities, all the municipalities in the state of Illinois. And I'll be sharing that. You can bet your bottom dollar when I go down to the IML meeting in the next 2 days. The Illinois Municipal League has to provide a way to get us covered. So I'm with you. I'm not, I'm more like, check all the boxes.
I understand that, and
Okay.
I understand your concerns, and I want to thank you for all the work that you've done on this, because I know you've done a lot.
Yeah.
Truly, I know you've done a lot, but those different, the different ways that we can approach this starts with a discussion. We can't do that without a discussion, which is why I would just like us to start
Well,
somewhere. So,
we're going to do that.
so,
Okay.
thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Trustee Priggy is waiting.
Trustee Priggy is waiting patiently. Do you have anything to say, Trustee Priggy? I'm sorry that I had to stomp on your parade there.
I also attended your
Oh, yeah.
Okay, Trustee Priggy has the floor.
Yeah, I attended your baseball initiative, and I ran into several former and/or current parents of players there, and they were just all thrilled to see the progress going on over at the field, and there's a lot of excitement about it, and they can't wait for it to get done. So I'm going to pass that on, that it's being noticed.
Each of those posts that you put in, how many years ago?
Oh, my God.
They tore them all out, right?
I know.
And,
Me and Ray Keel, we spent several Sundays doing that, but nobody else was there.
yeah, you have blood in that,
Yep,
in that arena, and
a lot of sweat equity.
I want to thank staff for their good work in bringing that together. It's looking nice. It's a great reflection of our community. Were you finished?
Yes.
And so with that, we'll move to executive session.
So it's section 2C1, personnel, compensation, performance of specific employees.
Second?